Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. In this video, we are going to merge several different important topics going on in the world. That being the different union strikes that are happening right now, Screen Actors Guild, Writers Guild of America, even the auto workers strike. And we're going to blend that into a topic of our Bachelorette, Charity Lawson, and her participation in this upcoming season of Dancing with the Stars. That's right, Dancing with the Stars is a Writers Guild approved show, which means if anyone's participating on Dancing with the Stars, they are kind of working against a union fight for fair labor and fair wages. It's a complicated conversation, one in which I will be talking about as a proud member of the Screen Actors Guild. There it is, folks. Now, how does this all tie into each other? And who actually is giving pressure to Charity to strike Dancing with the Stars? Well, right now, the only person who's pressuring her to strike Dancing with the Stars is me. Charity, my name's Dave Neal, and I'm encouraging you to strike and to forego participating on this season of Dancing with the Stars. I don't believe that you will, and I don't believe that anyone else who's going to be on the show will be striking, but there is hope that that may happen. And you might say, Dave, don't be a hater. This is a huge opportunity for her. I understand. She's set to receive at least $100,000 and then possibly a second $100,000 payment for just being on the show as a celebrity. And this goes a long way for the celebrities that aren't exactly the richest out there. Now, there might be some former NFL stars that made $60 million, Adrian Peterson. There might be other people that are rolling in the bank, but this is a big opportunity for her. And I completely understand. And that's why it's a tough conversation to have. Do me a solid. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals. I'll be live on Patreon right after this video. Patreon.com/Dave Neal, and also Bachelor Rush Hour, the hit podcast, every afternoon. If you haven't already, check out my other content I released on Saturday. My conversation with Jared from The Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise, from busboy to bachelor family. Go check out that right there. All right, how does this topic even come about? And again, I understand if people are going to get mad at me that don't understand what's going on here. But the only way strikes work, and a strike being the agreement upon everyone in that union or collective body to group together, hold hands in unity. One of the greatest things we can do in this country that's done all over the world, and striking being effective, as the French have proved. They strike, they protest, they do what they need to do to get, collective bargaining down. Unions built the middle class. They don't have as much power as they used to, which just goes to show that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. So people might think, oh, Hollywood's super rich. They've got this, they've got that. Writers, screen actors, for the majority of them are blue-collar workers. So we'll get into the auto workers union strike. It's all about inflicting pain. It's all about us showing the studio heads that we all mean business, that we're stronger together, and that we can't be divided. So when shows that actually have Writers Guild contracts continue on, it's damaging. And we saw this with Bill Maher saying real time's going to come back, but he says, oh no, it's okay. I'm not going to do any of the things that writers did. We're just going to have the non-writer segments. It doesn't work that way. To inflict pain to end the strike as quickly as possible means to inflict as much damage as possible to the wallets of the bosses. So shows like Dancing with the Stars that actually have a Writers Guild contract, anyone working on those shows is crossing the picket lines. So David Slack here posted, Dancing with the Stars is a WGA covered show. Its writers are on strike and they can't make the show without scab writing. Hope Alfonso Ribeiro, Julianne Hough, and then all the other people that are involved tagged there, do the right thing and refuse to cross our picket line. Will Charity Lawson be considered a scab if she crosses that picket line to do her job? She's getting paid for it. Someone posted, I did not realize this until this morning that Dancing with the Stars was crossing the picket line. This is a huge disappointment. Their marketing team has been bending over backwards to make sure its audience doesn't connect it to the strike. Don't watch celebrities dance. Support writers instead. All right, now hold on. We're going to get to more of this conversation. Protesting and striking does work. It changed what Drew Barrymore was saying. She apologized for crossing the picket line. Then she has changed her mind and decided not to cross the picket line. Let's listen to this TikTok explain it all.
Dancing with the Stars is indeed a WGA covered show. David Slack, who has been a really reliable source for information throughout this strike, has indeed pointed this out and is calling upon the people on the show to do the right thing and refuse to cross the picket line. He reminds everyone that when you provide the studios with scab work, ultimately you're just prolonging the strike and keeping the crew and everybody else out of work longer because it emboldens the studios. From the very beginning, the WGA has called for a total work stoppage. They have not been granting interim agreements because they understand that shutting down the pipeline and making sure that the studios know they aren't going to have content right away as soon as the strike ends helps them get this resolved quicker. Any struck show that resumes production will get picketed by the WGA.
Now, I'm not a member of the WGA. I'm just a member of the Screen Actors Guild, but there will be Screen Actors Guild members picketing the Dancing with the Stars live event. Now, before I go to my next video, I'm going to jump ahead to this one here, which just does a fantastic job opening people's eyes to understanding while the unions are getting robbed, and we could get into the details of automation, AI work that's taking advantage of writers and screen actors. I mean, they literally want to scan my body for $200 and use it in eternity. And that takes away hundreds of thousands of union work for the future. And they just want to do this. And they're making tons of money with their screenings, with their streaming sites. And they're not even letting people know how much money they're really making. They're not letting people know how many views they're getting. I mean, how can you negotiate with your boss if you don't even know how much they're profiting? Listen to some of the conversations happening online about trying to squeeze the blue-collar, middle-class union workers dry.
The end game is to allow things to drag on until a union member or until union members start losing their apartments and losing their houses. A studio executive told Deadline, acknowledging the cold as ice approach. Several other sources reiterated the statement. One decided called it a cruel but necessary evil.
Cruel but necessary evil. Their goal is to make it so that the strike lasts long enough that writers become so broke and so desperate that they need to beg for their jobs back. You may not be a writer. You might not be in a union. But just remember, when there's going to be a lot of money poured out that's going to be pro-studio sentiment, anti-union sentiment, that's astroturfing. That is money spent by PR companies and large corporations so that they can manipulate the conversation. There'll be comments on this video right now saying, oh, go back to work. All you're doing is making all of the other people broke because they're not able to receive a living wage and all that, which I understand. But the idea about unions is that you stick together, you fight during the hard times so that you can inflict that pain so that you can get a fair wage. And it's not like they're asking for too much. Here's what Bernie Sanders had to say about the strike that's happening in Michigan with the autos workers, and not just in Michigan, all over. And just remember, they want to say, oh, the Hollywood elites. They want to pin the Midwest against the coastal elites. We're all fighting for the same thing here, which is fair wages, fair retirement, fair benefits, fair health care. We need to decide if we're going to be on the right side of history or the wrong side.
Thank you for inviting me, and it is an honor for me to be here with you today. And let me thank the UAW for standing up not only for your own members, but for the working class of this country. The fight you are waging here is not just about decent wages and working conditions and pensions in the automobile industry. It is a fight to take on corporate greed and tell the people on top this country belongs to all of us, not just a few. There is a reason why a recent Gallup poll had 75% of Americans supporting the UAW. They are sick and tired of an economy in which the rich get richer while working families struggle and the most desperate sleep out on the streets.
All right. And even though Bernie Sanders didn't receive the nomination and win the presidency when he ran, he still fought for change. He fought for change at Disney, getting them, I believe, a $20 minimum wage, which, again, for all of us that go shopping and spend money, we understand $20 an hour is not a lot of money in today's world, right? So even though he didn't get to the pinnacle position in public office there as the president, even though he didn't make it there, he's still fighting and showing and shining light on how robbed people are actually getting out there. So we could get into what the Writers Guild is actually striking for, but it's actually less important at this point. What we have to remember is this isn't a flippant strike. One person doesn't just say, we're going on strike today. They take a union vote. Everybody within the union that's a paid up member they get together and they vote on a strike. The board members say, here are going to be the terms of the strike, and then they tell the studios, they say, we're about to strike. And here's why we're going to strike. If we can't work out a deal here, then we're going on strike. And what do the studio heads say? What do the executives say? Well, we're just, you know what? They look at their things. They go, we got a lot of shows on streaming right now. We got a lot of shows in the pipeline. Go ahead and do your strike. We're going to let you go broke. We're going to take a little holiday, and then let's come back to the bargaining table. And what they don't understand, what they don't get out there, is that the people that worked so hard to get these union cards, that worked in the auto industry, that worked in the screen actors industry, that worked in Writers Guild, have spent years, if not decades, working hard, busting their balls and catering jobs and low-paying jobs and all these other things to stay afloat so that they could take those cards and say, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. Let's do this. Let's go on strike. Let's see who's stronger here. The rich, the Bob Igers who make $26 million a year as head of CEO, or the people on the ground? And I think we're going to realize the people on the ground, the people that are marching, the people that are striking, they hold the power. And maybe we'll realize this more so as a country, as Starbucks employees try to go on strike. And they're going to try, like I said here, the tactic of striking has been proven to work in France, even though it looks, we look at France as like, they surrendered. They don't know how to fight in wars. They're fighting in the wars in their domestic, in their lands, and they're winning. And we're the bootlickers that are saying, no, the bosses provide us the jobs. We should be so grateful for them. Well, Drew Barrymore apologized for resuming work. I'm going to play her apology, then I'm going to play what happened after this apology. Have a listen.
I deeply apologize to writers. I deeply apologize to unions. I deeply apologize. I wanted to own a decision so that it wasn't a PR protected situation. And I would just take full responsibility for my actions.
Okay, so she decided to go back to her show, even though it would be violating the unions, and she thought she was doing her best. She said, you know what? I have all these people that aren't in unions that need the work. I'm going to go back to my show, kind of like how Dancing with the Stars is going back, and kind of how like Bill Maher decided to go back. Although Bill Maher is a Writers Guild member, so he's considered a scab now, even though he's saying, I'm not working as a writer on my show. We won't do the writing segments. Let it bleed out, Bill. You have to let it bleed out. You have to all stand in arms, in strike, in lockstep for this to work. It doesn't work if you go back and say, well, I won't do my monologue now. That's not how the strike works. He's breaking the levee here, folks. So here's what Drew Barrymore decided. She said, I've listened to everyone and I'm making the decision to pause the show's premiere until the strike is over. I have no words to express my deepest apologies to anyone I have hurt and, of course, to our incredible team who works on the show and has made it what it is today. We really tried to find our way forward, and I am truly hope for a resolution for the entire industry very soon. And a lot of people said, you know what? This is what we need more of. Somebody who's willing to admit that they were wrong and come back and get on the right side. The talk, pausing season premiere amid strike backlash. So what people are understanding is this is a good thing. We need politicians that are more like Drew Barrymore, that listen to the people. Someone said, I am honestly still quite moved by this. Listening and changing direction is way harder and takes a lot more grace and bravery than simply doubling down. Thanks for doing the right thing, Drew Barrymore. And now other shows are following suit. Whereas Drew Barrymore once seemingly gave others permission to come back, Slack. Her change of heart is encouraging others to maintain solidarity with the Writers Guild. Pretty darn cool. And again, this is a post that David Slack had pinned from 6 years ago, but it makes sense right now. Remember sitting in history thinking, if I were alive then, I would have. You're alive now. Whatever you're doing is what you've done. What are we doing? Are we going to pressure those that we can to not cross the picket line, to not perform on a show that is Writers Guild affiliated? Or are we just going to enjoy watching it because that's what we do? It's our choice now. We'll be back with more content right after this.